Have you been experiencing internal financial struggles triggered by economic concerns? Are you feeling capped at your current income level and can't seem to realize your financial potential? Energy healer Jean Border has created an emotional freedom technique, or EFT, tapping protocol to help calm the inner voice that keeps you stressed. Claim your free copy at jeanborder.com/vow and say goodbye to those financial blockages. Welcome to another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast, Energy Work to Better Your Business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. It's not just about dreaming, it's about making those dreams a practical reality. Subscribe to us via your favorite network by visiting our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com. Now, get ready. Your journey to success starts here.
Hi, everyone. It's your host, Jean Border, with another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. I have a special guest with me here today. Like always, I love my special guests. But before I get to that, I want to remind you that if you're having financial tension in your life and you're into EFT tapping, the emotional freedom technique, there is a free resource for you down below in the show notes. It's just some tapping protocols to help you calm down your nervous system before you think about making any financial decisions that you're concerned about, because you want to do that from a state of calmness rather than a state of reaction or fear, right? That's at jeanborder.com/vow, V-O-W. And now on with the show. My special guest today is Tess Cheng, and today she's coming to us from Europe, but the topic is universal, health and wellness. Hi, Tess, how are you?
Hello, Jean. How are you?
I am
very excited to be on your show. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I run a private practice in health and wellness coaching. I'm based in Miami, but most of my clients are outside the state. So very often we do one-on-one coaching. I help them with their wellness goals by building sustainable habits, especially with business owners and professionals, busy professionals. Their schedules are very demanding, as you can expect. And a lot of them are also traveling as well. So it's difficult to stay on track, and they get frustrated and very easily distracted. So I help them to come up with some strategies to help them how to manage those distractions and challenges and stay focused and incorporate some of these habits on a daily routine.
I find that's one of my issues in a lot of areas. There's so much information coming at us and so many things we have to do, right? Yeah. That you get started on one and then your focus gets shifted off onto something else. And then a week goes by and you realize, oh, I totally forgot I was supposed to be working on XYZ instead of ABC, right?
Yeah.
So keeping on track and keeping focused is a challenge in health, wellness, business, all through. It's the whole scenario that we deal with all the time.
Absolutely. It's even these days, when the internet, when you go online, you're going on and you're answering an email, suddenly all these notifications come on. And then if you get distracted, then you're off somewhere and you forget about your email. And then it takes you, an hour later, you're busy doing something else.
Yeah, they've been doing studies. So many of us are good at multitasking. Right? And now they're doing all these studies that are telling you that when you're multitasking, when you're jumping from item to item to item, your brain is actually not functioning well.
Yeah.
Because it has to catch back up to where it was. Oh yeah, I'm right, I'm here. And then you come back to this one. Oh yeah, that's right, I was doing that. So it's actually overtaxing us.
Yes.
Without the productivity to show for it, even though we think, I'm on the hamster wheel, I'm going really hard, I'm doing a lot of stuff, but you're creating the tension in your body. Yes. You're creating the overwork in the brain. It's no wonder people have issues sleeping, right?
Yeah, so much of that. Yeah, absolutely. Sleep is a big issue with a lot of people that I speak to, I coach. It's not uncommon, with the stress level, and they feel that they need to stay awake to do all the things they need to do. But at the same time, what they don't understand is that when you don't get enough sleep, it affects your physical health and your mental health.
So when a client comes to you, how do you start working with a new client? What are some of the things you focus on?
We focus on things that they want to focus on. So basically, I would have an initial discussion with my client and find out what they want to address, why they wanted to see me in the first place, and then what the problem areas are. And we will focus on working on one thing at a time, because again, you need to get the momentum going. Because very often they could come up with 4 or 5 problems. They say, I want to solve these problems. But ultimately, I will ask them, one question is why? Why does it matter to you? Why do you want to work on this? How can you see your life different if this becomes successful? And then this way we can then focus on what we need to do first, and then we come up with some strategies on how to manage those things and to, of course, take their lifestyles into account. It's very important. We're all different. Our bodies are all different. Our minds are different. Our preferences, even cultural backgrounds, life experiences, and our priorities too. So all those things have to be taken into account. And then we work on them and see what fits. Sometimes initially it might not work, but it's like an experiment. It's a lesson. You try those things and you learn from them. You might say, oh, this doesn't work, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work for good. Maybe it doesn't work at this time, or maybe you have to incorporate something else into it. And it's a journey, just focus on the process.
So how did you actually get into this field?
Well, I was actually in advertising sales back in England. I grew up in England and I lived here for many years. And then I was in advertising sales, but then I was in my 30s. I was always aware that my family had a history of diabetes, so I was careful about it. But in my early 30s, I started feeling quite tired, low energy. So I went to my doctor and he gave me some tests and then found out that I was hypoglycemic. Mm-hmm. So that was reason why I was feeling low in energy. And then he said to me, because your family has diabetes, I think it's time you should start focusing on this and work on it and be mindful about your diet, what you do. So I started making changes and reading a lot of books, doing a lot of research myself. And I thought, well, this is really fun. This is a great, field. And then I found out, you can actually study for it and help people. I've heard of nutritionists, but then I thought, maybe you actually just go online and read something and then you say you can. But no, you can actually go and get a proper certification. So I ended up going to NYU and studied clinical nutrition. And then after that, I lived in the States. I lived in my LA. I practiced as a nutritionist for many years. And then COVID hit. And then I went into coaching. I started researching on coaching because I thought, well, from what I was doing as a nutritionist, people really just focus on food and focus on plans. They want to be told what to eat, but it doesn't work. That's why those diets don't work, because they are not sustainable. After a while you get bored with it, you get resentful, you feel it's not working, then you go back to your old ways. And then the other things also matter, as you said: sleep, exercise, stress management, social engagement. All those things really work because everything's connected. And so I started, going into coaching, and found that I really want to help people in wellness, in the holistic approach. And that's when I started. And really, it's been wonderful. And when you see how it can help people to actually have more energy, to be more focused at work, it's really satisfying.
Cool. Yeah. So when you first started in the coaching business, Was it easy for you to start the business, or did you have some issues that you had to deal with?
Oh, it's not easy starting a business, I think like everyone else. No, quite a few challenges, it's actually getting yourself known out there, and getting the confidence level, and to manage stress, because like you said, we want to do everything. And because when you start your own business, everything's on you. Before you start building a team of people that you can trust and you can rely on. So you want to do everything, and you feel as if you should be doing something about your business 24 hours a day. And so it can get a bit overwhelming. But then I realized, because of what I do, what I did, I knew I would have to keep everything in check to actually, keep the pace going and put everything in perspective, to manage the stress and to make sure I get enough self-care into my daily routine, that I know is challenging, but is so important for all of us, to make time for ourselves, to actually do something fun and joyful every day. That has nothing to do with your business, just something enjoyable, to give you that break.
Yeah, they've come up with a little catchphrase that I guess it's descriptive, but it's also not got a great reputation in some circles, and that's work-life balance, right? When you start a business, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to have more time and more money. And then they get into the business and realize they're spending all their time working on their business and no time having fun, being with their family, right? So that whole balance of how much focus do I spend to make this business successful?
Yes.
How quickly do I need to compress that timeline to get the money rolling in so that then later I can spend time with my family, right? And so the whole time your stress level's bumping up because the money's not coming in fast enough. Your kids are out there. You're not spending time with them. You're missing out on all the things that you thought this business would give you when you lost focus of what was important. So that whole balance, boundaries of what will I allow my business to do, what hours will I spend on my business, all that kind of stuff, right?
Of course, yes, exactly. Boundaries, those are so important. Boundaries in all the areas of our lives.
So when you started ramping up your stress level, what, like when people come to you and they're ramping up their stress levels, how do you start addressing that?
Well, some techniques are actually quite useful, I found. First of all, practice mindfulness. I actually incorporated mindful meditation, into my daily routine, because that way it brings you just focus on what you're doing, and actually then it brings you back to present moment. And, that way, and also with being mindful, you just focus on what you have to do now rather than thinking, oh my God, anticipating all the other problems and the future and all those. Then that can get very overwhelming. You just focus on one thing at a time that you have to resolve. And then I would say physical activity is so important. Work out, because when you work out, you release endorphins, and that helps you to, manage your stress, elevates your mood, and also it improves your mental clarity. And then the other thing I would also just suggest would be boundaries, as we said. It's okay to say no, and sometimes to put time aside for your, downtime, to say no, because you need to know your limits. And, and so you don't get overwhelmed.
I think something that we don't think about a lot unless we're in I'll call it the exercise industry. If you don't take care of your health, your business will suffer.
Oh, yes. Of course. Yes. Yes. Health is the foundation of everything in life. When you don't have health, you cannot run a business. Your relationships will suffer because you're not there for the people you care about. And then you spend your time trying to get well. I mean, that's not fun. It's boring, going to doctors, getting tests done, medications, and then you might get side effects, trying to work out what works what. It's no fun, being sick. So it's better to be in good health, and then we can manage all the other things that we want in our lives.
I've not heard it said that way before, but I love that. It's boring to be sick. It really is. And when I was younger, one of my big mantras was, why be boring? I did not want my life to be boring. I did everything exciting I could find to do. I mean, I jumped out of a plane at, free falling it by myself with two jump masters. But yeah, but that whole boredom thing, I'd not heard it said that way before, but it really is boring. And it feels so counterproductive, like I'm wasting my time on this issue that should not be an issue. But yes, and we create the issue without being aware that we're creating the issue, right?
Absolutely, yes. And the other thing also, not only is boring, it throws everything off your plan, because now, say you have travel plans, you have business meetings, you have social engagements, birthday parties. You are sick in bed. You can't go to any of those.
And that increases your stress even more. So if your illness was created by, well, at least in part by stress, overdoing, overworking, allowing your immune system to drop, allowing your physical strength to drop, now you've got the stress of missing out on all these things, which is going to lower your immune system even more and ramp up your stress level even higher, which then slows down the healing even more. So it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's why we need to prioritize and come up with strategies to manage our stress and make sure that we stay in good shape, both mentally and physically.
One of the things that comes up with some of the clients, sometimes I work with fairly chronically ill people, is when they have done so much and their body just says, I cannot take on one more thing.
Yeah.
I just can't. And if you won't stop, I will stop you.
Yes, exactly.
And so that the illness starts to come and we still don't stop. And so the illness gets worse. And now your body becomes even more inflamed.
Yeah.
And you have even more pain and more joint, right?
Yeah.
So it forces you to slow down and pay attention.
Yes. But hopefully we will, do something, beforehand so it won't get there.
But that comes with self-awareness, right? You have to pay attention. Yes. And if you're not paying attention and you want to be all things to all people and you want your business to be perfect and your family to be perfect and your life to be perfect, but you carry the stress, now you're creating the vessel and the conditions for your body to start slowing you down.
Oh, yes.
Which is not optimal.
Not at all. No.
So if clients come to you and you can see that happening, how do you begin to move them to a different state of awareness?
I will ask them, what they are, what their priorities are.
That's a big one. Sometimes they don't know. They think it's this, but their actions show that it might be something else.
Exactly. I ask them to think about it and think about what their priorities are, maybe write them down, give that time, a thought and write them down. And then they come back to me and then we can work on those things and how they want to address them, and what kind of strategies they think would work with addressing those issues. And, and to help actually also to help them to understand that they can't just keep going on and on. Eventually, as you say, everything would just break down. and it just won't work. And, and then everything, and they can't actually then focus on their business because they are there. They have to make sure everything is there for them. And to let them understand the impact of what they're doing.
So do you ever have clients and you just that come to you, and potential clients that come to you and you just don't see any way to help them? Has that ever happened?
No, if they are coming to me, they want help. So they are, the inside is actually crying out for help. They want some support. And so, there's always a way, but it's some clients take longer than the others. Some you need more patience and need to give them time. Some are quicker, some are more motivated, and they just want help. They say, tell me what I need to do. I will share what, you need to know, and I will try my best, to do everything. Whereas with some, they are not so sure, they have doubts. And they might be, they might not be so confident about the improvement they can make, but you try to help them. I think, people in general, they want help if they are actually, the most important thing is for people to be open to support. Rather than thinking I can sort it all out by myself, I can do everything. I don't need to talk to anyone, even though I know there are problems. But it's good to share those problems.
But that can be so hard.
Mm.
Especially some of us have this inner belief system that I can do anything. And if I'm not doing it, then I'm doing something wrong. And I should be able to do it on my own, right? So sometimes allowing someone to help us is very challenging.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can. Yes. But it's good to have that mindset, to actually have a mindset shift, to feel that, other people are there wanting to help you, and it's good to bounce ideas off and when you share your problems, when you actually vocalize them, you might actually find answers for yourself.
So talk to me about the accountability piece. When someone's working with you, how does the accountability work?
Well, first of all, some of it is mental. That's why, for example, a personal trainer, when someone wants to get into exercise on a regular basis, they find that very often when you just have personal trainers, then they work out more because knowing that someone is there, the sessions are scheduled. And so you put them in just like business meetings. And you also have accountability because now you have your client, your personal trainer, you have to go there and see him. And with my work, they know that I'm there, I'm keeping them accountable. So every week, if we are doing follow-ups every week, they don't need to come back. They will have to come back and tell me what they have tried, what they have practiced on, and how they've got on with those goals that they're going to put themselves through. And that way they know, but Tess, I know, it's going to want to know about this. And sometimes I even ask them to write down something and email it to me, or I will send them emails. I'd send them reminders. I think those little reminders really work. I was working with a client on hydration because she found that she really was not hydrating enough. And that is not an uncommon issue. And it's so important because hydration is important for all the optimal functioning of the cells. And of course, with busy life and so on, again, we forget about those little things. And I will send her little text messages in the morning, throughout the day. I will ask, how often do you want me to send you reminders? And maybe first thing in the morning, they open the phone and they see this funny image of someone drinking a glass of water, and it's kind of fun, and
I have my water.
Yeah, exactly. I do too. And so, that way is part of the accountability. And I also ask them perhaps maybe to write down, journal down some of the meal food intakes, or send me pictures, at the time if they feel like it, when they're at the restaurant. I say if they want my feedback, I say send me a picture of your meal, then I can come back with some comments.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and those things work quite well, really, because they feel, oh, I can take a picture. Should I be eating this? Is this a good combination? And then, of course, is when you're working with someone, you want to do well. You think, oh, so I want to make an effort because, it's good to, to be in a team and to have that support.
Yeah, that's interesting. I go through spurts. I try, there are times when I'm like more conscious of food. And so and I have a little note app on my phone, right? So I'll put breakfast and I'll put down, whatever I had, and then lunch and whatever I had, and dinner. And there's another app where you can just take pictures of what you're eating, at breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever. And so sometimes I'll do that, right? So it's a really cool idea that you get to choose, because some of us are visual and some of us are not, right? Some of us want the fastness of just taking a photo and being done. So that's, technology can irritate me, but it also is a joy sometimes.
Oh, yes, it's very helpful. I can't imagine life without it.
It's like today I was telling someone before we started talking that I woke up to emails. Oh, your service interruption is expected to be repaired by X time. Oh, this is your update. It's expected to be repaired by X time. Just before we got on the call, I got another one where, sorry, your internet service is still as expected to last until X time. And so those kind of things can really throw off your day if you're on Zoom meetings all the time. And you have not one of the, again, it's a business thing. I have backups for everything. I have 2 phone numbers with 2 different carriers, right? I have my internet connection here that I typically use, but I also have the hotspot on my phone for the times when that goes down and I just have to shift because my business can't stop because of technology, right?
Absolutely.
If there's something I can set up as a backup system. And so a coach can be considered a backup system. When I'm not feeling focused enough to do it all on my own, I have a backup system of my coach who will every week or however often say, okay, where are you? And if you let it go for a week, let's get back on track, right?
Yeah.
Like a reboot, right? On the computer, to reboot your computer.
Oh, absolutely. I had a client who was dealing with kidney stones. He had episodes of them. So hydration is extremely important for that medical condition. So I needed to remind him to stay hydrated. And then one time he was really busy. He was having a very busy day. And I sent him one of those reminders, have some water. I said, have you had your water, intake this afternoon? And he sent back a message saying, it's very busy today and it's very inconvenient, with drinking water and then to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And then I sent back a message. I said, but it's better than dealing with kidney stones because those are very painful.
And being in the hospital, and they might even require some kind of surgery to blast them open or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, drink a glass of water or go to the hospital, which is inconvenient. We get so stuck in our heads, right? I'm focused on this. Well, yeah, but look at the results if you don't shift just slightly to balance out your physical needs along with your business needs.
Yes, the big picture. I always say that when it comes to health, rather than focus on short-term happiness, look at health in a long-term view. This is the long-term prospect that you're focusing on, not just at this moment. So everything you do has an impact.
One of the processes that I come back to all the time is becoming aware, focus on what you want, what your outcome is, and then take strategic action to get you there.
Yes.
And if you lose out on any of those, you're kind of just flailing around, right? You don't really have the goal in sight. You're not really taking action to get you there. How do you plan on actually ending up there? if you
exactly.
don't focus on it once in a while. Then take a step to see what's going to happen to me if I don't actually focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
So you're all over the internet, right? You're on Instagram and LinkedIn and
Yes.
Facebook, right?
Yes, very much so. Yes. I feel, because I like posting, information on what people can do, little things, how they can improve their health, how can they improve their sleep, how to manage stress, those little tidbits that people can just take away and, incorporate that into their lives. Because a little thing. So with the internet, when you just Google for things, it gets, as you say, it gets very overwhelming. Say, well, all these things I don't know. And some of them are contradictory.
And who do you trust?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Which path do you go down?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people, especially in the health industry, some things frustrate me. Okay. On the medical side of things, there's the thought, at least in my head, that doctors are supposed to fix you. Doctors are supposed to cure you. But really, that's not exactly, in my experience, what doctors are there for. Doctors have never been able to cure me. I spent the majority of my life with migraines. I eventually got rid of them on my own.
Yes.
There have been only 2 times in my life where I really think doctors did a really great thing to help me. But for the most part, you have to find your own health.
Oh, yes, you do. Because the signals, your body better than anyone else. And doctors are really trained to manage symptoms, and give you medications to treat diseases. But they don't know you like you do. They don't know what you're putting in your body every day. They don't know if you're getting enough sleep, whether you're working out, and what type, how you're really feeling on a daily basis. They can only go by what you tell them. And these days, they are so busy. They really don't have the time to spend getting to know you, to really know what is really the cause of the symptoms you are getting. So it's no good just masking the symptoms. We really should just go back to the basic to see what the root cause is. And then to try to manage that, and find out, if you're getting inflammation, there's a reason. It doesn't just happen. Something is not working well. And maybe something, you are putting into yourself or something you are not doing. And try to work that out. Is that so important? Health is something that's really, is something we can have to manage, just like we manage our business, our work, social lives, the time when we have fun. So, we need to manage health, just like everything else. It has to be a focus of us.
When you work with clients, are there major areas that you try to evaluate before you actually work with them? Or when you first start working with them?
Yes. Very often I would try to work out how much self-care they incorporate into their lives, if any at all.
If any, I think that's the big phrase, if any.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, that's true. But that's so important, self-love, self-care. And then I, try to work out what the other area that's really quite common is the lack of sleep. And then that affects everything else. When you don't get enough sleep, you can exercise a lot, you can have a pretty good diet, a healthy diet, and your stress level is probably not that good anyway if your sleep is compromised. And when your sleep is compromised, your brain is not functioning properly.
There are studies, I don't mean to get you off track, but there are studies out now that even the technology that we use your phone should be at least 6 feet away from your head, because the whole Wi-Fi thing, all the EMFs, the electrical impulses that get sent out interfere with brain activity and the normal sleep cycle.
Oh, yes.
So that's one of the things that when clients come to me with sleep issues is, where is your phone at night? Well, it's right by my pillow. Well, no. Move it 6 feet away. I know that seems like really far. It's a whole body person, length away from you, but get it away from your head. You're messing with your circadian rhythm. You're messing with your ability to, I'm a healer, okay?
Yes.
So it's very focused on how energy impacts our body.
Yeah. Sure.
So the healing happens when your body is not in fight or flight.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the hours of the day, the one time that you can typically count on is the midnight hours, right? The early morning hours when the world is calmed down, the threats are down. But if your mind is not calmed down, your body doesn't go into its natural healing state, because it's still aware there's stimulation going on.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes.
So move that stupid phone away from your head. It's not that hard. It's very stressful the first time you do it, because, right, well, if it rings, you're supposed to be asleep anyway,
Exactly. Yes. And don't turn it off. Don't check your messages in the middle of the night when you get up to go to the bathroom. Oh boy. I have friends who send me messages. I know, because in the morning when I turn my phone on, all these messages come through, and you can tell when they were sent. And I feel like saying, what were you doing at 3:00 in the morning sending me a message? Isn't it?
I didn't want to forget.
Yeah.
So you thought you'd interrupt my sleep because you didn't want to forget.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But it's really, put the phone away, as you said. I even tell them, give your phone a little sleeping bag. Put it in a bag. It's time for it to sleep as well.
And you can expand that to parents with kids. The kids learn that the phone is more important than they are. If you don't set a boundary for yourself and put the phone down and actually have one-on-one time with your child, right?
Yes.
Oh, just a minute. Let me answer this. Well, then the kid learns they come second to your phone.
Yeah.
It's not even a person. It's a phone. And they come second to a little piece of metal and plastic.
Correct.
What kind of message are you giving your child for their future as they go through life, right?
Oh, yes.
Because we allow the phone to have so much importance in our world. Our emotions go up and down based on what we see on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Our wrists and our fingers hurt based on how much time we're swiping on our phone, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Our sleep is interrupted because we can't put the phone away from us.
Yes.
House phones, I don't know if you remember those, but we used to have things called landlines, where if you wanted to get on the phone, you had to get up and walk across the room and dial or punch in a number and stand there or sit there. It's no longer true. This whole convenience has interfered with natural body rhythms. Right?
Yes, very much so. Yes, exactly. I see people now obsessed with their phones, day and night. If it rings, you have to grab it right away and look at to see what it is. And we're getting so distracted all the time.
It's very funny. My family, it's kind of a joke. They'll send me a message, and a few hours later, I'll return it. Because granted, I may be with clients, right? Yeah. And so typically, I tell my clients, if you call me, I'm not going to answer the phone, because if I was with a client, if I was with you, working with you, and you paid me to work with you, would you want me to answer everybody's phone calls?
Yeah, exactly.
No. You can leave me a message, and then when I have some free time, I'll get back with you. So text or emails are easier for me, because that way they don't interfere. But you have to set boundaries of what's acceptable to you based on your priorities, with your business, with your family, with your relationships, with your health.
Yes, exactly. With your self-care, you have to put time aside for all of those things.
And then we're like, well, yeah, but that's just me. And I could be doing this, but that's just me, right? And that whole self-care, that's just me. And that's selfish. Sometimes that comes up. If I'm spending time on me, then that's not good.
But it's not self-care. It's not selfish because you have to be well to take care of those people around you. When you're sick, you're no good to them. You cannot look after your children.
But that's a mindset shift that has to happen, because that's not the way a lot of us taught ourselves growing up, right? Now, some people do. My self-care is the most important thing in my world. And then there's that. That's a totally separate thing that needs to be looked at from a different point of view, right?
Yeah.
Everything in balance.
Yes.
If you're too far in either direction,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some awareness and some thought needs to be put into coming back to center.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I always say, even with self-care, with all the exercises, sleep and all that, don't get neurotic about it. It's balanced. Don't say, oh, but, all of these things is be too regimented. See what works and take small steps so, they don't get overwhelming.
So what are some of the other things that you address? We've talked about sleep, stress level, right?
Mm-hmm. Exercise. I'm not a personal trainer, but of course I would encourage my clients to have regular movements. Very important to work out, to see how they can work out, have their workout routines into their days. Even when they are going, traveling, when they are attending conferences, they have to find where they can find ways. For example, using the stairs instead of elevators, or go out for quick walks. I always suggest incorporating daily movements into your routines. So that way you also have breaks from sitting down, because sitting all the time is not good for you. Not good for your mind. It's not good for your brain. It's not good for your physical health. So maybe perhaps set an alarm, remind yourself to go out for a quick brisk walk. And that way you can reflect also on what you're doing. And also it's good for your eye health. Looking at all the screens all day is not good. Be outside, get some sunlight exposure. That's important too. So I always remind my clients in all of these things, what's important, and get them into your daily routine, incorporate them into daily routine, and then they become habits and you get used to them. That way you're not even thinking, you think, oh, I would like to do this. And then when you see stairs, let me walk up the stairs, park a little bit further away from you where you have to go to.
And if you're in an office and you can't leave, there are just very quick, easy exercises like for your eyes. Every 20 minutes, you look away from the screen and you look up some eye exercises and do some eye exercises so that you're focusing in the distance and not at your screen, right? Just different ways of doing that.
Yes.
You can get a desk. I have a desk that becomes a standing desk, right?
Oh, yes.
Or sitting. So you can get them that crank, or you can get with the button that just goes up on hydraulics.
Yes.
Underneath my desk, I have something they call a vibrational plate, and it just goes like this, right? They use it in rehab a lot for people who can do exercises on them.
Yes.
If you have to be sitting like for Zoom meetings sometimes, I'll just turn on my vibrational plate because that gets the blood going in your legs.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not doing exercises on it because people would see me on the Zoom exercises, which is not a great thing. Well, it can be depending on which Zoom call it is. But at least it allows the blood to move through my body, right? So I'm not so stationary. So I don't have to worry about the clots in the legs and all that. All these weird things that you don't think of. But when you're sitting all day,
yes,
maybe the awareness could happen. And you can find ways to mitigate possible future side effects.
Absolutely. And that's why hydration is also useful, so when you stay hydrated, you're going to have to make bathroom stops.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we touched on what else? Anything else you can think of? There's exercise, there's food intake that you mentioned.
Yes.
Yes.
With food, it's from nourishing meals. Just think of those, meals that nourish you. I know it's important to have joy from what we are eating, but also think about nourishment. food is not just about pleasure. It's about keeping us healthy and in good shape. So nutrients are very important, and that's where we get them from. They don't just appear in our body. We have to physically ingest those.
Yeah, you focus on different things at different parts of your life, right? But the past few years, one of the things that is becoming more and more in the news, well, not in the news, but in the food world, is all the issues attached to processed foods versus food that actually looks like food, right?
Yes.
And the more you make conscious choices to ignore anything that's in a package, if it doesn't look like the original item it came from, and you eat the original item instead, the healthier your body will gradually be, because it's taking in, as you said, nutrients as opposed to chemicals.
Yeah. All the additives, they put in, and food manufacturers are really there to sell food. They are not there to keep us in good health. That's all they care. So they have a whole team of food scientists that, work out formulas, how to get us, addicted, how to get us to keep buying the food, that they sell. So we have to be aware of that. We have to make intelligent choices. And I would suggest reading the food labels. They are, the information is there. So make use of them. So that way you can see what's inside the package. It gives you an idea, and then you can make comparisons.
And I don't know if it's because awareness or, because technology, it listens to your conversation and it gives you ads based on whatever, right? But I've been seeing so many little short Facebook videos about reading the labels. Okay, well, this has this ingredient, and now I go to the hardware store and it's labeled as a poison, but it's in the food.
Yeah.
But it's a poison. Right? Put it in the food, but it's a poison, but it's on the shelf in the grocery store because in the United States, I guess the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, hasn't outlawed it to be an ingredient in the food. So it's in the food because it's cheap and it makes you want more.
Yes.
And so the idea was anything that you can't pronounce, anything that's just an abbreviation that you have to look up, anything that has a number attached to it is a chemical. It's not a naturally occurring food source.
Exactly. Because apple would be an apple, tomatoes is in a tomato. And also the shorter the ingredient list, the better it is.
Yes. Even buying treats for my dog, there's a company that only has 4 to 5 ingredients, and you know exactly what they are. Right?
Yeah.
So I gravitate towards the ones that I know what they are, or I just make her stuff myself, but
it's a very lucky dog.
Yeah, but you have to know what's in this stuff. But just growing up, I didn't have that information. So I would give my dogs whatever appealed to me, and that typically was based on marketing, right? Marketing doesn't mean healthy. Marketing means profit for the company doing the marketing. Whether that's a pharmaceutical company saying, oh, if you've got this symptom, take my pill. Talk to your doctor about taking my pill. Well, that's great for their shareholders.
Oh, yeah.
Probably terrible for your body.
Exactly. Yes. All medication.
It's on TV, so it must be true. Well, no, it's on TV because they paid to put it on TV to make them more money.
Right. Exactly.
But we don't think that way. We expect the good rather than carrying in a healthy dose of skepticism sometimes.
I know. But we have to, these days, we really have to be mindful and to have that awareness of what the food and the pharmaceutical industries do.
Because it's your health.
Exactly.
Nobody else is going to watch it for you.
No, not at all. And definitely not, not the food industry.
Because again, they're not in it to make you healthy. They're in it to make money. So you have to look at the hidden agenda, and even if it's not so hidden, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not necessarily advertised.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So we're coming up on the end of our time together. You have a resource for our listeners if they want to learn more about you and learn more about how they can focus on their health and wellness.
Yes, I have a wellness tracker. So it's a little bit like journaling, but this way it's a very easy thing to do. You just track your sleep, your food intake, and your energy level. And this way you can go back at the end of the week to see what you've done. And very often when you document something like that, then it gives you a clear picture, a clearer picture of what you actually do. And then maybe then you can make some adjustments. Because when you just keep those things in your thoughts, you forget things and you don't necessarily remember. And this way also you might see a pattern as well.
Exactly. Patterns are very telling.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we think it's, oh yeah, I do it all the time. But when you look back at your tracker, well, no, I actually haven't done that for 8 days. But it felt like I was doing it all the time because in my head I planned to or I thought about it, but I didn't actually get there, right?
Exactly. Or that I have a tendency to have a cookie at 10 o'clock at night.
Hey, there's something, a new food regimen.
Yeah.
10 p.m. have a cookie. But if it's certain cookies that have been chemically altered by certain food companies, it's not one, it's a whole pack, right?
Right, exactly.
Because the cues to the brain come in as there's no nutritional value here, so eat more.
Yes, exactly.
So that I can get some nutrients because I'm not getting any nutrients. And so you want more and more and more. Craveability is a big word here in the States. The food companies hire scientists to increase the craveability of their product so you buy more.
Course. Absolutely. Yeah.
No judgment, just a fact. You
Yeah.
get to decide whether that's something you want to buy into. You get to vote every time you buy something, whether or not they should continue with that product in the way that it's currently created. And if you keep buying more, they're going to keep doing it.
Of course. Yes, it's all because there are demands, so they would keep supplying them.
So in the show notes below, I'm going to put a link to the health and wellness tracker. What is your website if people want to get with you, or what's the best way for people to find you?
The website is www.glowwithtess.com, and it's with one W, so it's spelled glowwithtess.com. So glowwithtess.com. And on my website, I have blog posts to give you some health and wellness tips, but also you can sign up for my monthly newsletters. So you can, get others' suggestions on a monthly basis and some updates on what I get to do and what I'm up to as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you so much for being here. But before we close out, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yes, I think, if you are inspired to incorporate some wellness strategies into your daily routines, I would suggest that rather than focusing on perfection, start with little steps and be consistent. I think once you become consistent, the small consistent actions will have a compound effect. And then that will lead to success. So don't feel that you have to do everything perfect immediately. Just, be consistent, and then they will become, a regular part of your life.
Yeah. In a lot of the meetings I go to, it's progress over perfection, right? If you wait for things to be perfect, it's never going to happen. Just little small steps all the time will get you where you want to go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool. Be consistent and take the steps.
Yeah, that's right.
So I want to thank my guest, Tess Cheng, for being here with me today. I really had a fun conversation.
Yes.
In my view.
Oh, yeah, very much so, Jean. Thank you for inviting me. I love being on your show. It's a great conversation we had.
Cool. And to my listeners, thank you for tuning in again. That's going to be it for today. I hope to see you again on another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. Until next time.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. Energy Work to Better Your Business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. Remember to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey.